Hello again, everyone. Ken from Whittling Woods back again with another little whittling wood carving tutorial. Today, as you can see, we're going to do this little hillbilly character here. My good buddy Blackbart, aka Mark, was working on this. What I did this whittle maybe 3 years ago or so, something similar to this, and he was working on it. And I told him I would do another whittle on this one. And this is what we're going to do here. You can see I traced it over to this block of basswood, and just for reference sake, I'm going to hold it here. This is about 4 inches. These marks over here are inch marks, so you can see. What I'm going to try to do here is have this pattern that I used. I drew this out this morning, and I'm going to try to make this available so you can download it if you're interested, and transfer it to your own blog. You don't really need to do it. I just did it because I know a lot of people do like seeing it on there. So there you go. I did the profile and the front. So I'm going to do my best to make this available to people. Everything link-wise, it'll be down in the description. So if you're interested, check there first, and I'll let you know how it's going to be available if you're interested in it. And this is a piece of basswood. Like I mentioned, it's a little over. It's about 5 inches long and an inch wide. So that's what we're using here. You can scale this up or down if you choose, but we're going to be using this block of basswood here. Again, an inch square and about 5 inches long. We're going to whittle the figure in approximately the first 4 inches. For knives, and the reason why we're doing this, we're going to start with this brand new knife that Mark made me and sent off my way. He's made me a few knives, and this is the latest one he's made me. And you can see this is a nice heavy-duty knife. I can't wait to use it for my wood spirits because I think it's going to be a perfect knife for that type of whittle. Big bulky wood. It'll be great for that. This is a nice heavy-duty knife. I was playing around with it last night, and Mark did a great job. Beautiful walnut handle. I like the simplicity of the design, and my favorite kind of thing here. Just the way I like it. And Mark, again, man, really do appreciate this whittle's going out to you, my friend. And but anyway, we're going to use that knife, and we'll probably use a couple smaller North Bay forged knives here because it's a small whittle. So we'll do some of the bulk removal with Mark's knives, and we'll scale down to these North Bay forged knives. But I just want to have an opportunity to display his knife at work. But we're going to actually put this through its paces with a wood spirit at some point in the near future. So anyway, I'm going to get everything set up, and I will be right back. Okay, I thought I just mentioned too, I forgot, Mark maybe sent the knife along with this nice little leather blade cover here. So it's great for keeping the blade nice and safe and protected, and really appreciate that. That's a great thing. And so I just wanted to kind of show that off. But so here we are on this little whittle here. The best thing to do, and the reason I typically don't transfer patterns like this to a piece, because you wind up whittling, most of it away, to be honest with you. So, keep that in mind. You can constantly retrace it, but I knew people kind of like that. So what I like to do first is kind of start whittling back the top piece for where the hat's going to be. So I'm just going to kind of take all the sides back here. This video is probably going to be a bit longer than normal, only because, we're going to go through this step by step. I know people kind of like to see it step by step, and I'm going to try to take it slow so everybody can get a gander. So again, we're just taking back. And a lot of the design, you do not have to follow the design on here exactly by any stretch of the imagination. Use your own initiative and shape it to whatever way you want. Like I said, I want to do my best to make the pattern available to those who want it. It's mine. I drew it out, so there's no copyright or anything like that. And feel free to use it any way you want. What I want to do here is start tapering the, this is obviously the front, so what we're going to do is start tapering the sides in here. This is a fairly easy Whittle to do. He's just in a kind of pair of overalls with one strap, and it's all hair in his face here. It's just all coming down in front of his eyes, and all you're going to see is maybe a little hint of a mouth and just some hair. So what I like to do is taper the sides in, you know, not quite 45 degrees, give or take, on both sides. So I'm just going to kind of come in here and do that. I'll set a little, just for reference sake, I'll set a little mark here for where the bottom of the beard's going to be. Sometimes it's good to do that. You can also put one down here where the knees are, where the knees kind of bend. You can see from the profile view here. These are just, you know, reference marks for you, because like I said, you'll whittle most of the pattern away. And then you can also put, I'm going to try to give him some little toes. I think the last one I did he had boots, but you know, it's first day of March, or excuse me, first day of March, first day, if I'm really jumping ahead here, first day of February. So in a few more months we'll have some warmer weather, and our little hillbilly fella here will be running around barefoot, or at least we're going to try that. But so there you go. I like to take down the edges as well, all across here. It just, you know, honestly, it makes it easier to hold. I find that it gets a little tedious holding a squared off piece with sharp edges. So, you know, do yourself a favor, whittle the edges down a bit, make it just a little more comfortable to hold. All right, so let's continue up here. Again, the reason we do this is because we want the nose here to be the most prominent part of the face. So we're going to whittle this back here, and that's going to allow us to have the nose stand out a bit. So I kind of whittle it right down to where the nose is. You can kind of see on both sides over here. I'm going to also whittle and round off the back a bit as well. I like my figures to be, as you know, as round as the figures to be as round as possible. So you can kind of see where we're at over here. I'll also try to remember to put some time stamps down below in the comment section or in the description. So if you want to skip to a certain section, I'll try to remember to do that. If I don't, remind me. So there you go. We're going to leave some wood in this area because I want his beard to kind of flare out a bit so you can kind of see how we're doing that. But what I'm going to do is set the bottom of the nose now, so you can barely see what's left here. I'm going to kind of come in here and just whittle up to that. Make a little stop cut right up to that nose. I think if you take these whittles step by step, they're doable. They're pretty simple to do. We're not doing a real complicated figure here. This face is going to be real easy because this is basically nose and hair. So you can kind of see from the side what we did here. I'm going to start undercutting where his beard is as well. And I'll kind of carry that around here because he's going to have hair kind of sticking out all over the place. He's got some good old hair. He doesn't like going to the barber. I don't blame him. Nothing wrong with barbers, but if you got the hair, let it grow. So all I'm doing here is just establishing the boundary for the head and the shoulders. So I'm kind of going around here, as you can see, and just kind of establishing. I'm leaving the hair a little bit longer in the back. You know, it's going to kind of peak up a little bit around the, kind of curve around the shoulders. Just, you know, just that illusion of that. There you go. All right. Now what we could do is maybe put the boundary for the hat, so you can barely see what's left of where his nose is. So that's where the bottom end of the hat's going to be. So we're going to whittle into that. Kind of like so. And then just take that hat all the way around. If you can, slope it towards the back a little bit, like so. Like a hat would normally sit on your head. Don't square it off like so. Make it, you know, slope it to the back. It just looks better that way. So now we're just, like I said, going around, establishing a boundary for where the hair, the face, and the hat all kind of come together. And you can use this basic design for a lot of figures. You can, you know, you can change the hat up and turn them into other characters as well. You know, you can make them a baseball player, you can make them a wizard, you can make them, I don't know, just any type of hat wearing character. I'm trying, like I said, I try to keep the pattern as simple as possible. So if you're new to whittling and you're interested in doing a little figure card, I haven't done a figure in a while. I think most of my videos recently have been other types of. I did some whales and what did I do? I forgot what I did last week, but you know, some other types of whittles, and I haven't done a little figure whittle in some time. So you can see where we're at here. We pretty much have, you know, and again, if you've spent any time watching my videos, you know, like I say, work to a rough out on your carving. Don't sit here and work and do the hat, and then start another part of the body, because you might have to make some changes. You might have to, you know, you might find that all that work you did for the hat was for nothing because you have to change something. So I tend to just get it to a somewhat of a roughed out phase, and then I start adding detail. I like all my hats to curve over to one side most of the time. It's the way I do it. So you can kind of see that's how I'm moving in that direction. All right. So we got the head kind of essentially roughed out. I'm going to try to stop here and give you a good look. So if you are following along, you can get yourself to this point as well. So let's just do that. So there you go. So if you're gonna, you know, freeze the video and take a look at it from all sides here. There you go. And again, we're going to be whittling it in the first. We're not going all the way down to the bottom over here. All right. So what I'm going to do here now is start working on the back a little bit. I'm going to come in here and I want to take some of this back and start shaping this over here. It's fairly straightforward. We're going up from the base, the back of his pants to where his the back of his knees, and then coming to his waist area, his backside, and then kind of curving in just a bit. You kind of see how that is over there? We're just taking that in. I mentioned this a number of times in my videos, thinking in terms of planes, not airplanes, but geometry type planes. And what I mean by that is in whittling, you've got different planes. You got a plane for the nose and the face, planes here in the back that we're creating to shape where the legs are. You know, think first in those terms. So get it to a roughed out state, just thinking in these very squared off, well, not squared off, but flat type of geometric planes. Work with that in mind. And then start adding the detail. So you kind of see how we did that. And then I kind of bring this back in here just a little bit. So we basically form this plane, and this plane. So that's all you're doing here. It's a little, if you shape it like that, and that's all you're thinking initially, you know, it's easy to do. Anyone can carve something, you know, flat like that, and flat here and flat. It's real straightforward. And we're going to do the same thing in the front here. We're going to start coming in here. And what we're going to do is bring this plane over here down to where the toes are. Or if I don't wind up doing toes, they'll be boots. But that's all you do here. So again, we're leaving wood in here. We're carving up to this plane over here, which is the top of the toes, and this is which would be essentially your shin. So we're carving down to the toes with that plane. Kind of see, let me hold it this way. And just, you know, in terms of like, I mean, this is a good example. If you're doing boots or toes or whatever the case is, you know, that you're leaving this wood in here, right in this area. We haven't touched that, to shape the toes at some point, just like we left the wood up here for the beard. All right, so now I'm going to just kind of bring back the sides a bit. Kind of see how that goes. We're shaping this in basically three separate planes. Here would be his chest and abdomen area, and then we're slowly transitioning that in moving around the figure in somewhat of a you know, circular way, because eventually, and then again, think about it, his arms are going to be in this area, so that's why we're carving back the wood here, but we're leaving wood in here to form an arm. So all I'm doing is I'm coming up here and shaping the wood in that plane like so. I'm flipping it around and I'm doing the same thing over here. And I'm cutting this one back a little bit more. So let's look at them from that side and from that side. And we're going to go a little bit more in here even. All right. What you could do here is put a little mark, because you know what's going to happen is you're going to eventually whittle this away. So you might want to leave a cut mark in here, because that's going to be where the hands, I'll put a little, I might have to switch to a smaller knife, but put a little cut mark in there, because the hands are going to come down, excuse me, his hands are in his pockets, but his arms are going to come down into that area. And the same thing on this side over here. Make sure I got that lined up right about in here. Right. So in this case, what you're doing here is forming the top of the pocket for his pants. And this is just basically a reference line. The reference lines don't whittle away as quickly as your pencil lines. So now I have a little bit of a line in here where I'm going to put have his hands coming into pockets. And this over here. I'll move that forward just a bit more. All right. And I like to leave a little bit of wood where the pockets are, because we'll eventually, keep that, make it look like they're bunching out, like he's got hands in his pockets, because that's what he does. We can cut in here. This area is going to be the kind of the beginning of his shoulder, which is tucking underneath his hair. So we're going to kind of come in here. Like so on that side, and the same thing on this side. You see how that is? All right, I'm going to give you a chance to take a look at it and see where we're at. It's basically just a very basic start for a figure. What I'm going to do here is establish the bottom of the figure here, because I'm just looking at that now. It'll probably be helpful if you see that. I'm going to put a line right across the bottom over here. That's going to be where his toes kind of stick out a bit. So I'm just going to cut that back just a bit. And we're just going to follow it straight around. This will, we'll eventually cut the piece off at this point over here. So that's all I'm doing. If you can see that. All right. I like to make sure that the pants line comes down to the bottom, because what's going to happen here, his pants are going to come down like at this angle over here. So if you can imagine, I'll put a little cut in there. That's his pants are going to kind of flow down around his feet on that side, and just carry it down on this side as well. I'm going to show you from here. See how I'm doing it. I'm putting these reference marks in here. We're just cutting down to that. We did that on both sides. So now, if you want to make toes, we'll give it a shot at whittling the toes. If you don't want to make toes, you'll cut this in half and form boots. So that's the easier way to go about it. And they look good too. And the figure this small, sometimes toes don't really add all that much to it, but I figured I'd give it a shot. And do that. I've done those in a few figures that I've done. But anyway, that's where we're at so far. I'll give you a good look at where we're at. We've got the basic rough out. What we're going to do here, and I'm switching over to this North Bay Forge knife, because I want to come in here along the back. This is the back of his arm. You can kind of see what's left of that line over there. And I want to cut down to where his pocket is. And then I want to kind of cut the wood up to that. Doing the arms on these figures is probably the trickiest thing to do. But you can kind of see how I cut it. I sort of went deeper towards his elbow and more shallow towards his pocket, towards where his hands are going into his pocket. Just like so. Can you see that? And then we're going to flip it around and essentially do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to make sure I'm at the right spot here. And there you go. Put a cut in there. So I'm angling my knife. You can kind of see here. I'm angling it this way, and I'm just cutting up to that. Again, I want to go shallow here, deeper there. So there we go. So you can kind of see from the back here. We got essentially the basics, the basic cuts in there for the part of his arm. All right. And what I like to do here is start rounding this part out a bit. So I want to kind of come down here and take this area along his back. I like to make this a little bit. This area right in here, I like to kind of hollow this out a bit. So I'm going to come in here and I'm looking to kind of cut up a little bit to that. You see how I'm doing that? There you go. All right. This area in here is where we're going to just sort of make the back of his arm stand out. So I'm just going to kind of come right in here towards where the back of his arm would be. And I'm just going to put a stop cut in here, over here, and essentially right over here. All right, and then we're just going to start removing the wood a little bit up to that cut over there. All right. There you go. And same thing over here. You can kind of just put your knife in there and just remove that wood. It looks a little sloppy right now, but again, like I always mention on these things, work to a rough out and then go back and clean up what you need to clean up. This is just establishing how the arms come together over there. All right, and then I just like to kind of flatten this out a bit here as well. This is kind of the area of the hollow of the back over here where I'm whittling the wood. Right in that area, right over here. All right, and he doesn't need such a pointy backside like it is right now. We don't want him cutting through his pants like that. So we're gonna just kind of round that out a bit, flatten it just a bit more. There you go. So you can kind of see we got his bit of his arms over here. I start to round the arms out as well, so I'm going to kind of come in here, shape them on both sides. You see how that is? Pretty straightforward to do, right? I mean, it takes a little finessing to do that, but it's not really that hard. If you just take your time, you'll get it. All right. Now for the front of his arms, we're going to have to do kind of the same thing over here. We're going to come in here, and what I like to do is put a little stop cut in this corner right over here where his elbow kind of comes together. So I come in here and with my knife, and I put a little cut right at that elbow on that side and on this side. So I formed just a little bit of a cut over there, and then what I do is I come down in here and I just kind of remove that little triangle in there. You see that? There you go. And then you bring that down as well. That line comes right into, right into the pocket. So I just put a cut in here. I keep, if I go off camera, excuse me, I'm using my knee as a to hold the piece on as I do that. I'll try to remember not to do that, or at least bring my knee into the camera more. There you go. So now he's got, looks like his arm's gone into that pocket over there. All right. And then we'll just whittle back the wood in here. You can start deepening it. I like to initially just get my cuts in place, and then I'll work towards deepening it a little bit more. So you can kind of see what we did here. And then what we'll eventually do here is bring this all in, and then bring the front down a bit. Again, we're going to keep a little wood right there, right where his hands are kind of in his pocket. I like to kind of start whittling that out. You can kind of see, it's already looking a lot like a figure, right? I mean, it's not all that difficult to do. For the other side, I'm going to come across here. I'm just going to make sure I'm at the same spot here for the elbow. And it looks like I'm right about, just use my knife as a guide here. And I'm right about there as a point. So I'm going to come put my knife deep in the wood at the point over here, like so. You can kind of see how I did that. And then I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to, again, put my knife deeper in the wood at that area. And then you're going to want to remove that little bit of kind of a triangular piece of wood right in there, like so. So now you've, again, we formed it on both sides over here. And then we'll come down here, and we'll continue that line into the pocket. And you're going to want to take out this little bit of wood in here up to the pocket, like so. And then we can start deepening that as necessary. There you go. So we got it there, and we got it there. Not all that difficult to do. Just take your time and you'll get it. And, you know, like I do. I go back, I look at what I've done, and I start refining it and shaping it and adding the detail that I need. But we got essentially a pretty good arms in there for the most part. So now let's work on, well, I want to do the same thing. I started whittling back here where the pocket, and his hands are in his pocket over here and over here. So all I'm doing is I'm kind of going around, keeping in mind that I want to leave the wood here and I want to leave the wood here. I'm just going around that, and I'm kind of removing a little bit of wood. You kind of see that. And we can kind of come in here and remove a little bit of wood. And then what we're going to do is, let's see. Yeah, I guess so. We'll split where his toes are going to be over here. So I'm just going to kind of cut right down the middle here, form a cut in there on both sides, and I'm going to form another. I'm going to put another cut over here, and then another cut over there. And I'm just going to, again, kind of nip away a little bit of a triangle, a sliver of wood there, and a sliver of wood over there. Okay, so that's it. That's all you really need to do for the start the toes over there. What I like to do is slope the foot area towards from the big toe to the small toe. So I'm going to kind of come in here, slope that down, slope that down, like so. And then I like to also come back here and deepen it right in here. So I want to move this down a little bit more. Like that. And you see I put my knife in there like so. And I'm going to come in here and scoop out that wood. There you go. You can kind of see it from the side. What I'm aiming for here is to get the foot area sloping towards the leg, like in this direction, and then towards the small toe in that direction. So we're moving backwards and down from here, and we're scaling that back like so. You can kind of see it on both sides. All right. The other thing we're going to need to do is taper the toes back a little bit. We want the big toe to be more forward than the little toe. We're only going to give them 3 toes here. It's too small to do anything less than that. Or less than that, more than that. You can kind of see, maybe from the top. All they did was I'm just nibbling away a little bit over here and over here. There you go. And you could just leave it. You could square this off and turn it into, like I said, boots or whatever. But you know, we'll see if we can whittle the toes here. I'm just going to come in here on the top and just split this a little bit more. I'm trying to show you from this angle over here. I want to kind of come down here and take out this little triangle between the 2 feet, just to separate those a little bit more. Can you see that? All right. And then what we can do is just kind of start to round over everything over here. Now, we're going to put a split right down the center here of his pants. So all I'm doing here is putting my knife in the wood and just bringing it up a little ways. All right, like so. I'm going to put a little cut here and a little cut here, because what I want to do is I want to come back in here and remove that wood on that side like that. So it looks like the pants are wrapping around, and we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to take this, come back in here, and remove that sliver of wood as well. So it kind of looks like the pants are wrapping around. And I just kind of come back in here and I just take my knife and I go in there and round it out a bit more, deepen it, like so. And then we're going to do the same thing on the back side over here. We're going to come in the middle of the wood, right, it looks about middle right there. And we're going to put a knife cut right up to where his knees bend for the time being. And we're going to put another little stop cut here and a stop cut here, because again, what we want to do is we want to take this this bit of wood out over here. It's like if you had a V gouge, you could probably do the same thing, and you know, take that out as well. Just to, yeah, we're separating the pants here, or the legs. Like so. Then I kind of come in here and I start rounding it out. I just bring my knife in there and I deepen that. And deepen that. So again, we got some pant separation there. And then I like to carry that split up a little ways as well. So we're going to come up just a little bit here, and I'm going to come down from the top here to this in here. So I'm just going to kind of come down and around in there. Kind of like so. We can go up a little bit higher than that maybe. Again, he's got, you know, baggy overalls on, so. All right. There you go. All right. So we got a pretty good basic figure in here already. Well, already. I think none of the videos running probably a little long, but hopefully you're interested in hanging in there. Again, I'm trying to take my time and go through this step by step for you. And you know, there's always that option too. Don't forget to fast forward it or speed it up, whatever you know, you can do with YouTube. I think it works. It might sound a little funny, but you can watch it at probably 1.5 speed and get through it a little bit quicker. There you go. Look, he's got baggy overalls on. Again, I like to kind of always think in terms of rounding the figure out, you know. So I always come back and I just start rounding the figure. I don't want it to look like it was. Well, I was going to say I don't want it to look like it was whittled from a square block, but obviously you can kind of tell that. But, you know, soften it up a bit more. Give it more character. All right, what I like to do is kind of come in here and just kind of hollow this area out right in here, right between the pockets a bit. So I kind of come in here with my with my knife, and I just kind of hollow that out a bit. And can you see that in there? Again, it's leaving that bulge area for his arm, or excuse me, his hands. You see that on the side there? Give you a good look where we're at. let's see, what can we work on now? Let's start rounding out the beard and the hair a little bit. Get that kind of cleaned up a little bit more. Okay, what I like to do here, since we're not really adding a lot of detail to the face, I'm just going to kind of come down here and establish the nose a bit. So I'm going to come on either side with a slight angle. I'm going to angle my knife. It's basically slightly angled away from the center line. So I'm angling it down this way and then out a little bit that way. So I'm just going to put a little stop cut in there, kind of like just like that. And I'm going to put another little stop cut up here, and I'm just going to remove that wood right on the side over there. So it's just, we have a nose sticking out now. Just clean that up a little bit, and we'll do the same thing on this side. I'm going to come right here, angling it down and away, just like so. Put a little stop cut up here, and then just come back and remove that little chunk of wood. So we have now a little bit of wood left for the nose. All right, there you go. That's all. And this is easy because we don't have to worry about smile lines or stuff of that nature, because you know it's all hair. There you go. What I like to do is flare up the nostrils just a bit, or or not. You can do it either way. And I bring this back a little bit further as well. There you go. You see that there? Give it a look. Sometimes I come in and I'll narrow out where the bridge of the nose is. Most of his nose is hidden under his hat. All right. Get a gander of that. I'm just going around here cleaning up a little bit of wood. There you go. All right. I'm gonna have to go to even the slightly smaller knife. I'm gonna put a little nostrils in there. So let me grab that knife right here. And what I want to do is come up to right about here. I don't know if you can see that, but a little below the halfway mark in this case. Normally I go about a third up, but like I said, some of his nose is hidden. I'm just going to put a little cut in there and then cut up to that. And then cut a little bit down to it as well. And can you see that, how I did that? All we did is create a bit of a notch for what would be the nostril over there. I'll try to zoom in when I'm editing this video so you can hopefully see it a little bit clearer. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just put a little notch, a little cut in there, a stop cut, if you can see that. And what I want to do is cut up to it and a bit down to it. These are such small little cuts here that may or may not be able to get a whole heck of a lot of detail, but that's all we did. Then what I'd like to do is I come in here and I just scoop a little wood where that nostril and the tip of the nose kind of come together. So I'm just going to come in here and I scoop out a little bit of wood. There you go. I've done other videos on the nose and all that, so check those out. You know, I go into a little bit more detail, and yeah, it's the same process basically. There you go. I'm just going to thin out the nose just a bit more on the bridge here. There we go. Let me give you a look, see where we're at so far. All right. That's sometimes when you have these smaller knives, you can get into these tighter spots. Like I wanted to hollow this out. You know how your back is normally hollow right above your backside, your lower back. So that's all I'm doing in here. I'm just kind of coming in here and hollowing that out just a bit. Right in here. Okay, I just drew a couple lines in there. Then I'm just going to come in here and essentially just cut on those lines. So I'm going to come down on that line and that line and this line and this line, and then just start rounding it over. I just take little notches out of the top first on all of them. If I can reach it. Kind of like so to start off. And then what I'd like to do is come back in on the bottom. Make sure I get them notched out all the way down there as well. And I do the same thing. I just kind of start rounding those out. I kind of come down along that cut I made. I'm going to clean this one up a bit. Flip it around here. So we've got the beginnings of some silly looking toes in here. What I like to do is I cut these back a little bit further. Again, you're basically just creating little balls on the front of the feet there. That are sticking out. You know, he's got a few toes sticking out from underneath his pants over here. That's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of coming around here. I'm rounding these little little toe. Little toes round, that's all. Make him look a little more like toes, I guess. I kind of come across the top, and if you could see it on the small toe I did there, I just bring him, kind of flatten it out a bit. See that? There you go. And I'll do the same thing on this side as well. It looks like, I guess, little toenail areas, whatever. And if you don't feel like doing this, then just, like I said, just leave them like they were, kind of like boots. And you don't have to worry about doing this part of it. I think they kind of look silly like that, but that's okay. I mean, you know, silly in a fun kind of way. And just keep working on them until you get them to a point that you are happy. There you go. He's kind of looks like he's got little toes sticking out. Okay, I just kind of drew in a little bit, a few lines in here. What we're going to do is just kind of use our knife and put a little stop cut in here. I'm just going to kind of come down along the line I made. I know it's hard to see because, you know, but that's all I'm doing. I'm just going to kind of come in here and put a little stop cut, and then I'm going to cut down to that stop cut. He's going to have like a shirt underneath his overalls. So we'll paint the two. I think I showed, probably popped up somewhere, where I showed when I sketched it out, I colored it in spots just to kind of give you an idea of what it would look like painted as well, which, you know, you'll see anyway. But so there you go. And then same thing over here. We're going to kind of come down along that line, and then also I'm going to put a little stop cut going under his arm over here. Cut down to it and cut up to it. Gonna see that? That's all that is. It's just basically you're leaving that wood on the overalls there just a little bit proud of the surface. So when you paint it, it looks like, I mean, you could paint them in, I guess, too, as well, if you wanted to. You don't have to whittle it in, but why not? There you go. You've got kind of like just one strap left on his overall over there. And then we'll do the same thing on the back. I'm just going to kind of come in here, put a line there, and another little stop cut here. And just cut again. Just relieve some of that wood, just to make it look like there's a strap in the back as well. I think you understand what I'm doing here. So I'll finish that up and I'll be right back. Okay, let's kind of finish this whittle up here. We got everything pretty much in there. The only thing we really have left to do is a little bit of detail on the hair, and we can make that real simple by just making a few notches in here. Let's see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to kind of go around here, put a notch here and there, all around. And in the back as well. Yeah, all I do is, I'm just, once I get the main notches out, I'll come back in and I'll kind of go closer to the bottom and just deepen, or closer to the, the end over here where it comes into the body, and I'll just deepen those a bit more as well. I might bring a few of them up just a little bit higher. Not all of them, but maybe a few. Maybe separate this a little bit more over here. This is where it's kind of splitting, going over his shoulders and his beard, so we're going to kind of deepen that. I kind of did it on that side a little bit, you can see. Just a little bit. I'm just kind of playing around here. Maybe add a little bit of texture to the hair by taking all these little faceting cuts. See how it's looking? Pretty good, maybe. For the mouth, I guess we could let's just put a little, we'll put a little line in here, right about here. Kind of like so. Just put a little line. I'm going to kind of cut, scooping up to it. You see how I did that? Real simple. Because he's got hair all over the place. Except around his mouth. Got to leave a little opening for some of that moonshine. In fact, let's try to arch it up a little bit, make it look like you smile a little bit. Maybe that's what he's out there checking that hooch. There you go. Now he's got a little bit of a smile there. But that's all. That's all you really need to do in these, because it's all hair. You might want to whittle underneath it a little bit, but it doesn't really get any easier than that, right? Sometimes it's just to kind of make it look like it's like there may be a lip under there. I'll just kind of roll my knife up into it. There. See how that is? And I think with that, we're essentially done this long whittle. I know it took quite some time to do, but again, I'm attempting to go about this a bit slower for everybody. The only other thing I think you might want to add, if you want to think about some detail, is you can kind of come down where the fabric of the pants meet and put a little cut there, and then maybe come back in, crisscross it like that, and then put a little cut there. It just looks like you got a little fold in the pants. And we can do the same thing essentially on the elbow. You come down here, you cut it out a little bit, and you come over here and you just put a little notch in there. It just looks like it's sort of folding around there. That's all. And we'll do that, same thing on the other side as well. And then you go around and you just start cleaning up. What I typically would do is maybe undercut the hair just a bit. When I say undercut, I mean just coming back in, like, let's say these pieces over here under his beard, right in there. Kind of come back in and start scooping out a little wood in there. Kind of like so, like it's kind of hanging over. You're going to have to reinforce those cuts a little bit more on the bottom when you do that. I might just round these over just a bit more, just so they don't look like little squares. Again, they're very stylized, so, you know, again, we're not, obviously these are not overly detailed, so in an effort to keep it simple and do it. There's enough complexity in this with different things that if you're just getting into whittling, it's you know, it's a good one to practice with. Attempt it a couple times. It's not overly complex, but it's enough to keep you going and get you started on little figures like this, if that's the kind of whittling you want to do. And a lot of people, even if you don't do this all the time, I do a lot of different types of whittles. You know, I started years ago doing these little figures, and you know, I still do a few here and there, but you know, I also do a lot of other things. But these are good every so often to do these. They're fun to do, and you can give them away as gifts, like this is going to be. Sent off to my good buddy Mark, who made me that wonderful knife that I used in the Roughout stage. So once it's done and painted up, off it'll go to him. We're going to put a little patch in here. I'm just going to draw a little square. In there, like so. And do the same technique we did with the overalls. We're going to come in here and just put our knife in the wood along those lines, like so. And the reason you could paint these in as well, you know, absolutely, but it's easier when you are painting to have some boundaries. That way the paint doesn't flow into each other. And then all that I do is I kind of come back and I just cut from the patch side to those stop cuts I made. Like so. Now he's got a little area that, you know, we can paint a different color. If his pants are like a blue jean color, we can make the patch red or something like that. And you can kind of do it. You can put one on his hat if you want it. A lot of times what I do is also the other detail I might want to add. A little pocket. Let's give him a pocket over here on this side. So all you have to do there is just put a little stop cut, cut right down to it. That's really all there is to it. And I kind of bring the top back just a little bit more. So he's got a little bit, and that's all. It's just a little sliver of wood. You cut. You can probably put a couple on his backside too as well. Let's put one here. So I'm going to kind of come at a bit of an angle and cut down to it. Put one over here at a bit of an angle and cut down to it. That's all. And you paint it up. You can kind of deepen the color in that area so it shows up a little bit better. Sometimes the paint just gathers in that area and darkens anyway, so that's all you want to do. And then you just go around and you, like I said, this is where you're, normally I would put those last finishing cuts in right at the end, but for sake of kind of moving this video along a little bit, that's all. The only other thing I think what I would do here is kind of make sure I scoop out a little wood above the feet. So it looks like it's beginning to bunch up a little bit over here. You can kind of come in here as well and add a little, like a round over. So it looks like maybe it's wrinkling a little bit above his where his pants are kind of coming down here. Something like so. Just to add a little more detail, and maybe do it on this side as well. Not in exactly the same spot, but that's all. And I usually round over those edges of these type of cuts, just to kind of taper them in, even those ones we made over here. So you have just enough detail to make it look like a little hillbilly. And so there he is. I'll clean it up a bit and I'll show you what it looks like before I paint it. Alrighty, I'll be right back. Okay, the little hillbilly fella's all done. I just cleaned him up, let him up a bit just to kind of show you what it looks like. Brings out a little bit more of the grain and detail. But there you go. There's little toes in there. The only thing I added, I like I said, I just cleaned up some of the things. I went around it, and any frayed pieces or things that needed cleaning, I added just a little bit more detail on the strap, like it's hanging over. I don't know if you can see that. And finished up the little folds. I went through the hat. I kind of went around it, scooped it up a bit just to make it look a little more wonky. But it was a fun little whittle to do. It takes a little time, and it's definitely easy enough in terms of the head. There's not a lot of detail here. You can see it's pretty simple, just a nose and a bunch of hair and a little mouth. You spend a lot of time just working on the body. If you don't want to do the toes, just turn them into boots like we had initially. But that's it. I'm going to call this one done here. I'll paint it up and spin it around like I normally do. And again, thank you, Mark. This one's for you. Thank you for the knife. It's a real treat, and I really do appreciate it. So I'll paint this little guy up and show you what it looks like. But that's it for me for this week. I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care.